Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of my podcast. If you are listening, I want to also let you know if you're listening that this will be on my YouTube channel because I have my infamous guest, Renee Longworth, here to chat all things Year of the Horse. Welcome, Renee.
Hello, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Always. I mean, we literally have just already been talking for an hour before we hit record.
Yes.
So we're well lubed up for this conversation. It's very exciting meeting with Renee every year. And as you will all know, I was so, pressed in late 2025 that I didn't do my entire panel, but I kept the goods with, my numerologist Sarah. We talked about the one. I chatted with Katie and we did like a bit of a 1 hour feral overview of all of 2026. And me and Renee had booked this in December to chat. Just really, getting closer to the fire horse finally. Today's the 27th of January. So we've had this booked in for a little while and we're still not quite there yet, are we, Renee?
No, so the Chinese astrological year starts on the 4th of February, nearly every year. Sometimes it changes around, late on the 3rd or early on the 5th. But this year we're back on the 4th of February.
And I would love for you to just share, because I know that maybe perhaps it was last year or the year before or something, you were sharing that if the solar new year lands before the lunar or lunar before the solar, like there's a little bit of a different overtone. You were like one's auspicious or something like that.
Yeah, was that last year or the year before where the start of the lunar New Year. So there's a difference between the Chinese astrological year and the cultural celebration of the Lunar New Year.
Okay.
So when the Lunar New Year, that's really hard to say really fast. Um, you'll hear a lot of it in the news and in magazines of all the celebrations of the Lunar New Year, and that will start on the new moon of every February of, well, no, it's not always February. That's where it went awry the other year. So if that starts before the 4th of February, yes, it's usually known that it's not a great year. But that's not occurring this year. But we look at all different things. It's not the only thing that we look at. But
True.
yeah,
But there is a difference, and like you said, that one's the cultural. So the solar. So ultimately, when we're looking at the solar Chinese New Year, which is always that 4th or 5th of February, um, so is that, would you say, is when the fire horse energy will kick in, or does it happen on the lunar, or it does actually happen on the solar New Year, right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So whenever we're looking at anything, and that specifically because we always link it into feng shui as well. Whenever, like, the change of the qi will begin on the 4th of February, regardless of when the celebration is. So the celebration is regarded as a spring festival. So it's the start of their spring season in China. And so it's a cultural celebration with lots of traditional things for every day. And it goes for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That is separate to astrology. Astrology is a learnt system. So
Yeah.
it's not particularly cultural. Um, yeah, so it's very separate, the
Yeah.
lunar celebrations and the solar, like actual Chinese astrology and
Yeah.
its system.
Yeah, and I think that's great for everyone to know because we at least know that every year around that 4th, 5th of Feb, that's actually when the chi, like you said, the chi changes. So we are entering that fire horse year, which Renee is going to really give us a nice little overview about on the 4th this year in 2026. And then the Lunar New Year celebrations kick off on that new moon in Aquarius, which actually happens to be mid-February this time. Whereas
Yes,
sometimes it's late January.
yes,
It's that new moon. I think it's always the new moon in Aquarius, right? So that
yeah,
can sometimes be late January or sometime in February.
yeah,
And then again, it sort of just like anchors in then in a way. It sort of feels like, okay, now the Chinese lunar year has been celebrated and we're in it. But let's all just pay attention to when the chi actually changes. I think that that's quite significant. I'm going to get this out and on my potty and on my YouTube probably today, this afternoon, or tomorrow or something, because I think it's important for us all to plug into that and to even know that the solar year is coming before the lunar year this year. So that's more auspicious. So that's sort of exciting as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. And look, it also depends on like the pillar that we're looking at and whether it's in a controlling cycle or a supportive cycle. So there's lots of variations. And with everything, it can be quite complex, like our life, right? So
Very.
yeah, sometimes we can look at it like that, and that's
Yeah.
that's just I don't know where that comes from, to be honest, the
Sort of
whether it's
simplistic
auspicious
view
or
or
not.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too sure where that particular viewpoint comes from, but yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that that's why I love having you on because everyone knows I'm not a Chinese astrologer, and so I write in my book my annual overviews every year. I do dedicate pages to horse and and just pull on obviously overall themes which are very generic. I'll always be honest about that. And then I'm looking at other things like Pegasus and and Chiron and looking at other things that represent horse medicine. But when I get Renee on, there's this real anchoring into, what we can really expect in, and you're going to share with us that this is like a yang fire year, and this is very different than 12 years ago when we were in a wood fire. I mean, sorry, a wood horse. And so I'd like to, hear your thoughts on the difference because, of course, the last time we had a fire horse year was 60 years ago.
Yeah.
Every 12 years the horse will come around but in a different element, and that's sort of where Renee is. As you all know, I'm always frothing and chatting about her. Is you want to follow her because Renee shares all of this information, and as you said, it is deep, it is complex. It's not like you are just a rooster so your year will be this. There is so much more to it than that. And Renee's very good at sort of unpacking all of that. So while I'm sharing that, before we dive in, I do want to just shout out that Renee does have a free 2 hour call class. It's a video. I've already watched it. I made sure I watched it before I jumped on. And I can tell you I've got like 60 pages, not 60, but a lot of pages of notes, which I've condensed down into one page for us to chat today. But it was extremely helpful because she also does feng shui, the flying stars, lots of elemental stuff, but also really breaks down what it means to be in a yang fire horse year. And because of the pillars and what's on top, what's missing, she shares those things as it's not just, yay, a fire horse's power and momentum. Like, yeah, those things can come into it, but there's so much more. So please, I don't want Renee to be repeating herself here because I want you to go over and sign up to that class because it is so worth it. Like I said, it's 2 hours, it's free, and I took a lot of notes and it's so informative. And while I'm here, if you're watching the video, this is the calendar that I always refer to. Now, this is my 2025 calendar, and Renee literally is so amazing that every single day she has all of the directions. If it's an okay day for this, it's an auspicious day. Is it a pig day? Is it a rat day? Is it a wood day? Like she is like the queen of all of this, and I'm so excited to get the 2026 one. It's on its way to me. But please, I implore you to go over, follow Renee, and jump on this 2 hour class, listen, take notes. There's lots that you'll get out of it, even if you don't know all of your Chinese astrology, even if you don't know the things, you're going to really be able to plug into what Renee's talking about. And for us to all plug into this incredible year, because it's sort of exciting, don't you think?
It is, and it's very intense.
Yeah.
Like, um, so,
Mm.
and the reason why it's intense, and
Yes.
we have it's okay. So the pillar for this year is Bing Wu. Now, Bing is sitting on Wu, and Wu is the horse. So Bing is Yang fire, and it sits on the horse, which is also the fire element. So we've got a pure pillar of fire, we call it, right? So we've got fire. And then the horse is also in a 3-year fire cycle, and it's the pinnacle of that fire cycle. We then have not long, 2024, moved into a very new age 9, which is also related to the fire. So we've got fire on fire in a
Well,
3-year fire period in the age of fire.
in the age of 9, which is fire, which
And
is a
it's also
new.
yang fire. So it's like the most, like yang is the most action. So it's the most yang of all elements. And that's what we're in.
Yes, and just as you all know, we're going to conversationalize this, but I'm going to get Renee to keep going with the fire. But Western astrology is so crazy wild, as we're always talking about, that of course Neptune, as of today, has moved into Aries, which is a cardinal fire sign. So cardinal is initiation, the beginning, let's go. It's the seed, right? It's like the hero. It's the beginning. It's the brave heart, right? Like that's what we're doing. Saturn moves into cardinal fire, Aries as well in February. Jupiter moves into Leo, which is fixed fire. And that is at the end of June. Lilith at the moment is also in Sagittarius, which is mutable fire. So in Western astrology, all fires are covered. The mutable, the cardinal, and the fixed are all covered. So to me, that again feels like a bloody wildfire or a bloody bonfire, accelerated with what you've just said. Because you can see if you're watching too, Renee, like she gets excited because she's like, it's this fire, it's the double fire, it's sitting on this pillar, it's a yang horse, it's all of these things. And then the Western astrology is just like, here's another ball of fire. So
Yeah.
it's actually just like so fire dominant.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you have some dominance, you get imbalance,
Yes, I can't. Yeah, I
because
can't
you
wait for
don't
you to
have the other
hear.
elements.
Yeah.
It does have some earth element in there as a hidden stem, but
Okay.
it's mainly all fire.
Okay.
And so when we're thinking about the horse, I know there's a lot of stuff about it moving forward. It's not because it's a horse, it's because it's fire.
Yeah.
It's because it's yang, it's the most action. You can't get any more action packed than this year.
Wow.
So when you get something that's so intense, you know that there's going to be an imbalance. We also have to look at the opposite, which is yin. So what are we doing with the yin? It's going to be exhausted because of the imbalance. So looking at the water element is super, super important for this year as well. We shouldn't just focus on the fire. We have to look at what's missing, what's going to be, imbalanced and yeah, dysfunctional, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want you to sort of like unpack a little about, all of this fire, what this means for us. I'd love for you to just do a little bit of a reflection point on 12 years ago with the wood horse in comparison to a fire horse. You don't have to talk about like what actually happened, but just like the element, we've been
Yeah.
talking about wood just before we jumped on. So it's such an interesting element to actually, I mean, we were just in the wood snake, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. But I also just wanted to caveat and say, the no water thing is really interesting because all of the Mercury retrogrades this year are in water,
Mm,
full water signs. So sometimes they like start in a sign and retrograde back into another element. So they might start in, fire and go back to water, they start, but all of them, three solid Mercury retrogrades, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, boom. So again, I love how supported we are within this because it is going to be a very action oriented with the Yang fire horse, like you said, the most action. It's not just because a horse moves forward. It's
yeah.
literally because it's yang,
Yeah.
and what is missing, and again, you go into this in your 2 hour workshop, so good too, is like the Shen and, and talking about the chi and our energy fields and how we can support those in our own body and our own physical systems, which is fabulous. But I just
Mm.
love that all of the Mercury retrogrades are in the womb, they're in the water. They're actually asking us to reflect back. Where have we gotten too far away with the movement and the action that we've forgotten about our heart and to nurture ourselves and to soften and to tap into our intuition? This is all matters of the heart. So isn't that just amazing?
Yeah, it is because part of the water element in Chinese astrology is about our psychological sense of self. Yeah. So And obviously, it's all about adrenals and our kidney chi, and ensuring that we're not stressed out and burnt out. Interesting terminology, because of that action, constant action that we will be in. So it's
Yeah.
this being able to draw back into ourselves is really important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which three very full Mercury retrogrades are going to be doing. So instead of Mercury spending a couple of weeks in a sign, he's going to
Mhm.
spend months in the water signs, which is just so
Mm.
perfectly supporting all of
Yeah,
this yang fire.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you feel the
Yeah.
difference is with wood fire versus wood horse versus fire horse? And
Yeah.
yeah, what can we sort of expect with this very yang double fire friggin' action orientated horse here?
So 12 years ago was the wood horse. So wood being the difference. So you've got on top, it would be yang wood, which is jar. Yang wood is all about inspiration, using brain. A lot of would be a lot of head orientated thinking, sort of ways to do things. It's a lot of leadership roles, and you as a leader. But it's mainly thinking. It's very head orientated, but also bringing in inspiration, ideas, innovation. There would have been lots of different inventions and new ways of doing things. Whereas this year we got Bing, which is fire, and fire's all heart centered. So you have a difference between head and heart, really. When we're looking at it that way, it's all about self expression rather than bringing ideas down. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
the wood is bringing ideas down or
Yeah.
bringing ideas up and out, because wood rises. Um, Whereas this is a different chi. This is a very heart centered. It's a very soul,
Mm.
and bonding, wanting to bond with other people, because fire is all related to the heart,
Yeah.
and heart is like the governor of our system. It's the most protected part of our body as well, but it's also how we connect with others, right? So fire can't exist without connecting to something else.
Yeah.
It has to have a fuel. And so there's this yearning of bonding and a sense of belonging that we may be feeling this year, and it's very heart centered. People really want real connection, which is amazing, because the fire is also related to digital age. So there'll be um, there'll be this yearning for a sense of belonging, yet we're still connecting on digital age. We're still going forward. We can't stop that. That's the whole age 9 is all digital age. But there's still going to be, whereas look, we're seeing it now globally with with protests that are occurring, that people are bonding over beliefs. So not only is the fire about digital, but it's also spiritual aspect of ourselves, and it's the higher realms. So you'll notice that now, yes, it's not cut and dry. Yes, we do change into the new year on the 4th of February, but it's not too cut and dry. We're starting to see it now. And plus, the snake is also a fire element. So we've already had the fire occurring. We've just had it with wood.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've still had fire, but obviously this year is going to be more intense. And that spirituality, we're starting to see that with bonding of groups around people's faiths and their belief systems. And there'll be a real yearning for us to want to find our group, or I really believe that our happiness and joy, because fire is all about the heart, it's all about joy and optimism, which is great with what is the ugly parts of the world right now. We need that joy and optimism. And I feel that this, my personal belief is that we can find them in these groups, because that's how we can exist. That's how we can connect with the fire element that's around at the moment.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really love that. And I was just, writing down some notes as you were talking about this belonging and groups and then wanting to connect, and how what so many are craving is this real, authentic, sovereign, anytime I'm recording something and you're the same, like we just hit record, we're not curating it to, I'm not cutting bits out where I may have said something or spilt something. I do a live call and go, I need to go to the toilet, pause and go to the toilet and come back. I mean, and yay, maybe I'm just not tech savvy like other people, but there's this authenticity that is being yearned for in such a digital world. And then you've got people wanting to belong. So they're having D&Ms with a computer. You know what I mean? We're seeing it in
Yes.
all ways, shapes, and forms of
Yeah.
that they're lonely, and that the computer bot thing, they actually feel genuinely cares about them. Like, it's very, very fascinating to
Mm.
witness and to watch, and for people to go, no, but really it said these things to me. And I'm just like, okay. Okay, but it's a part of this digital thing that's going on. And so the age of 9, which, you would have heard me and Renee have been doing this for years now, is that Pluto has moved into Aquarius for 20 years. And Aquarius is the future, technology, the digital age. So again, now that we're in the Chinese age of 9 and it's a similar thing, see how everything just cosmically like gets amplified with those things. And but I also love this really deep message of coming back to the heart, having connections with someone,
Yeah.
in-person things, those sorts of things, even just stuff like this, like let's talk to real people, let's chat and
Yeah.
make it connected and meaningful and real. And let's ask a friend or a tarot card over chat gpt, let's go and
Yes.
ask the tree, let's go and do these things and commune with people. And I think that that's really a lot of the fire element in the Chinese, and definitely also the fire and the air elements that we're getting in the Western astrology. It's
Mm.
again, it's connection. Fire brings people together. Look at everyone sitting around a fire, they gather. It's hearts
Absolutely.
gathering. It feels, and just sometimes when you just see horses and there's like 6 of them just standing there so cutely together, and you're like, oh, you're so cute. Like they know, like they can be lone, they can be wild brumbies, they can be wanting to soar and don't fence me in, and I've got my own heart and
Freedom.
journey and freedom, exactly. But when they're together, it's like this pack mentality just feels really special. So I really
Mm.
love that, as a joyful, optimistic view on what the fire horse can bring us. And it's
Yeah.
definitely different to the wood, as you explained it, from
Yeah.
head to heart. I love that.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Um, yeah. And so it's, we haven't discussed the type of fire it is. So the fire element, like a yin fire that we're just coming out of the snake, that's like a candle flame, right? So it's very fickle. It's a little bit unstable. But with the yang fire of the horse and of Bing, it's the sun. It's represented by the sun. So when you think about the sun, if you want to think about the positive qualities of the sun, it's all the things that we've just spoken about, right? So think of the most beautiful sunny day. It's like it's warm, it's joyful. You want to go and do things and be outside and connect with nature and connect with. It's very positive. It allows you to think about the future and what am I going to do today, and feel quite positive in going into that. And so when you understand what that element actually is, and then think, well, we've got an intensity here because we've only got the sun, right? So you go, okay, so if we get too close to the sun, or if we've sat in the sun for too long, or it's just one of those stinking hot days where everything's just uncomfortable, what are the qualities that brings out in you?
Mhm.
Agitation, You can be snappy. And that agitation, it's really hard to sleep as well. So insomnia can be
Mm.
can be one of the byproducts, I guess, of this year.
Yeah.
But anxiety, like there's this restlessness, quick fire temper, and people can feel a little bit manic. Those hot days where you're driving in traffic,
Mm.
and I mean, thankfully, most of us have aircon, but my aircon just happened to, or the gas just happened to expel just as summer hit this year, and it was just ridiculous. And you can tell the difference when you're driving in a hot car, and the snappiness and the temper and the impatience that you get when you're in that environment. That's what we're going to be seeing.
Yeah.
It's quite volatile.
You're right. Like, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. There has to be, shadow, to the light, because the sun is optimistic and joyful and letting light in. But the other side of
Yeah.
that is it is these things that we experience when we're too hot, hot under the color.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that manic stuff is really interesting, and anxiety and restlessness and recklessness, all these things too that accompany fire and air in Western astrology. And with Uranus moving into Gemini, which I've been banging on about for a little while now, this is a cerebral sign. So the mind is going to, like, again, like everything is just on steroids this year. And from the Western astrology, I'm like, everything's on steroids. Like, honestly, it can be very manic and panicky and watch your mental health. But it sounds like that's also the shadow of such a dominant yang, like the type of horse year we're in, which again, I think, everyone needs to
Is the
remember that it's
type of
not just a
horse.
horse, it's this
Yeah.
sort of horse which is making it these things.
Yeah. And also, like 12 years ago, we weren't in the age 9 either. So we also have to
Exactly.
take that into consideration. We were in the age 8, which is a mountain, and it's like chunky
Yeah.
earth energy. Yeah. So it's different. But
Very, very
yeah,
different.
this is intense.
It is. I think intense is a
Intense
very
year.
good word for this year. It is going to be
Mm.
intense. And I also am feeling like a lot of expect the unexpected. Don't think that just because you've sort of, something I wrote down that you wrote, that you said in your thing was goal, then gallop. Like, have the goal before you gallop, because
Yes.
a lot of people are just going to be like running out of the gates or trying to fly the coop. And then they're sort of going to get there and go, oh, what the fuck did I just
Where am I
do?
going?
Exactly. Yeah. Where am I going? Where am I sprinting towards? Why are you
Yes.
sprinting?
That's one of the main themes is like, yes, because we're so yang, yes, we're going to be go, 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 go. But where are you going to? You need some sort of goal or destination, because you'll end up just running for the sake of it. Just because the chi is there and available, you'll just want to go. But if you have a direction and a purpose, use it intently. That intensity of that chi, use it purposefully. And
That is
when
great advice.
you're not using it, use the water. Go to the yin side, rest. Be able to go to the psychological sense of self. Like, what is it that you're wanting to achieve? Yeah, before
Yeah,
you.
sort of rest and reset and recalibrate in the
Yeah,
water. But like you said, where are you going? Like,
yeah,
look at where you're going. You don't just
mm,
want to go for the sake of going. Like, what
yeah,
Renee is telling us is that we are really supported, but we need direction.
yeah,
And we can't just run aimlessly, like the horses would just keep running and then they're in the middle of nowhere. And it's like, oh, how did I get here? Because
yeah.
there's no stillness. You're not staying put somewhere. You're just constantly moving, which could be a
Mm,
very horse sort of energy. But this
yeah.
this horse especially, this Yang
This
Bing Wu,
especially.
this one that we've got here is, and then accompanied by the Western astrology. I mean, it's just I want to say it's a recipe for disaster, but it's also a recipe for delight. It's also a recipe
Yes.
for, yes, this optimism and joy and
Ah,
accomplishments. And absolutely, we can, this feels exciting. It's just, with excitement also comes, the opposite of that, which can be burnout
absolutely.
and all these things
Yes.
with the sun being
Yeah.
so prominent.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. So like I said before, like the sun is amazingly generous. And it's constant, right? It loves the routine of well, we say it rises and it sets every day, but obviously we go around it. But it's very constant. It's always there. So it there's a part of us that we want to be constantly positive, maybe because there's so much ugliness at the moment that we need to be really careful that it doesn't go into spiritual bypassing, and everything's love and light, um, because of that ability to just shine through everything. It will, the thing with the sun, it will shine a light on vast, expansive areas, which it does shine the truth. We will be able to see the truth, but there's also shadow, like you were talking about. And the sun never meets the shadow. It creates shadow, but
True.
it will never meet the shadow. So there's
Wow.
going to be very like extremes of like there's contrast. There's going to be extremes of everything. And that we're seeing it now in the protests. There's extreme groups are coming out, like I don't even want to say their names.
Mm.
I'm not going to give them any
Mm-mm.
power, but there's this just extremes. And so normally, personally, for me anyway, I would challenge people or belief systems if it's something's not right and it needs. This year, I don't want people to be banging their head against a brick wall, because I don't know whether there's going to be a lot of change in viewpoints. I don't know, just because of that contrast. I just don't know whether it's worth your energy. It always is if it's for the right thing, but it's like, where are we going to see any change for the better this year? I don't know, but
Mm.
there is
And I
extremism.
that is very coupled with too, like being your own worst enemy with, Saturn in Aries, which Saturn doesn't want to be in Aries, right? Like that's his exiled place. Saturn is like slow, structured success, responsibility, and Aries is fast, quick, reckless. And then with Neptune in Aries too, it's sort of like pick your battles in a way. It's like, what are you fighting for? And is it
Yes.
worth your time and energy and mental health? Because once
Yes.
Uranus moves into Gemini too, it's like, where are you putting all of that mental energy and mental health? Like, so like, your thoughts, your mind, where is it going? What are you fighting for? And yes, there is time, protests and all these things will continue to happen. I mean, it's the
Yeah.
rise of the people. Pluto is in Aquarius, and we're seeing it all happen, which is amazing. You've also got to take care of yourself and your mind, and again, like watch what you're calling out, who you're calling out, and how much time you will invest in that. And I would say that that's quite prevalent from the Western astrology part too. So very interesting that you're
Mm,
sort of going, that's a big part of this sort of sun, the shadow, a lot of light, which could also bring a lot of shadows being lit up.
yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I think even just coupling that, and I know that there's a bit of a Jupiter thing with Chinese astrology that we'll probably talk about as well, but Jupiter's also moving into Leo. And Leo is ruled by the sun, like that's the sun's happiest place. It's his domicile is to be in Leo, the sun, right? And then Jupiter, who is Zeus, is the biggest planet in our solar system. And all of a sudden, for the first time in 12 years, Jupiter moves into Leo, the sun's sign. And so it's very interesting again that the sun becomes quite a dominant yang. Like what you're explaining is that we've just been in the snake, which is the yin fire, which is the candle flickering and fickle, over the yang fire, which is the dominant sun. And then, of course, Jupiter moves into Leo. And all of a sudden, ego is lit up. All of a sudden, drama is lit up. And then the south node of the moon also moves into Leo. So again, there's this, what you shared in your talk was around that shadow side again of like needing attention or trying to get people outside, like like tell me I'm good, approval, appraising, praise me, and all those sorts of things, which is very Leonian, which is very sun.
Yes.
So the sun is a very strong key player because Aries, when the sun's in Aries, that's where he is exalted. So we've got all of this sun and then this yang fire. It like blows me away. I'm like, oh my God, this is so much sun solar
Yes.
energy, which will
Yeah.
cast perhaps bigger shadows and bigger shade and bigger insecurities and bigger burnout and bigger frustration and bigger war and bigger dominance of don't tell me what to think or who to be. I mean, we're
Yes.
seeing it everywhere. It becomes quite fixed in a way, like fixed and rigid. This is my idea and my
Yes.
belief. But then at the heart of it, the fire horse is going, but come together,
Yeah.
So it's so fascinating.
Contrast. Yeah. Contrast, contrast, contrast. Yeah, absolutely. And like there's a part of the sun that is generous, but there's also a part of the horse that is very egocentric. So there may be situations where people are coming to you, or there's this generosity aspect, but there's a hidden agenda in regards to, well, what are they gaining from that? Why am I being given all of this generosity stuff? Like, what's behind that? It may be quite innocent in a way, but there may also be that ego driven part of it where they're still tending to themselves, like they're doing it for self rather than for the generosity or just community. So that's quite interesting as well.
Yeah,
But
that
when we
makes
were talking,
sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, you were talking about mental health. That is like a really big component of this year as well. And
Wow.
there's a couple of reasons why. We were talking about the Shen. You mentioned the Shen. So the Shen is our spirit. It's contained in the heart. It's a Chinese traditional Chinese medicine term. And the Shen is our consciousness, our spirit. It's that spark, right? If you have dull eyes, when you see someone and they got a sparkle in their eyes, right? Their Shen is bright and it's good, it's healthy Shen. But when you have dullness in the eyes, they don't have that sparkle. It means that there's something disturbed. We call it disturbed Shen. And so that's linked to depression or anxiety, and something's disturbed, like the fight is too intense, and so too much fire can disturb the Shen. And that's disturbed spirit, right? So there's that loss of hope, or loss of what are we doing, where, like, almost like, where are we going? But also because we've got so much fire, then we have no water. So, and because water is related to the psychological sense of self, that's mental health stuff. So mental health is a very strong component of something that, just to keep aware in this year, about most things. And also, in business and communicating with other people, ensuring that they are grounded, because the fire element needs grounding, because it's such an etheric energy, right? It needs to have stillness, it needs to have some groundedness. So you need to bring it in consciously, because the chi is not available. You have to do it.
Okay.
You have to do it yourself, is to bring the stillness in.
Yeah. And I want to circle back to this um, to give some tips on bringing the earth in, the stillness, and maybe the water, some tips around that. But I just wanted, and I just wanted to say with this disturbed Shen and too much fire. It's interesting, I feel like that sort of foggy eye that you said, that this disturbed sort of consciousness or spirit within a person, which can be too much fire, or like you said, loss of hope or depression. And it brings me back to that quote about passion, like lack of passion is fatal.
Yes.
And and so I think even the opposite can go true with that. Like, are you stoked with passion anymore? Like, what is your passion? Like, what fires you up? What fuels you up? Like, and I see this in charts because, of course, in astrology, it's like elemental as well. If someone that has a lot of fire in their chart, often runs around crazy most days, head chopped off, they get into bed, and it's like, what did I really actually do or accomplish? They're very good
Mm,
at doing and moving and busying, but again, the earth, there's not this sort of grounded, how did you anchor into the stillness? And so I think that I just like it just sort of landed for me that quote again about lack of passion is fatal. And it's an interesting quote because it feels like if you don't have some sort of fire in the hearth or you're stoking your inner flame, that also could be a part of the disturbed Shen. It
yeah,
can be too much fire or too much
absolutely.
or too little, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. It just came and I just wanted to remind everyone about that quote, lack of passion is fatal. But I
Yeah.
would really love some of your like earth and water tips so that, as a part of this chat, like
Yeah.
so that would be very helpful for us. You're always
Yeah.
great at giving these really great tools for us, things for us to do. I love it.
So obviously the water is really important. That's the main
Okay.
element to help regulate the fire a little bit. Because when you think about it, water can put out fire. We don't want to use it to put out fire in particular, but we need it to calm it down a little bit.
Yeah.
So even just using the actual real water, like
True.
drinking water,
Mm.
going for swims, having Epsom salt baths, are really a beautiful, like an actual tangible way to start to bring in the elements to calm that out, but also looking after your mental health and like sleep and stress. So stress, so the water element is governed by kidney chi and the bladder. So kidney chi and the adrenals sit on top of the kidneys, so they're highly linked. So it's ensuring that you're going to bed before 11 o'clock because there's a time, there's a elemental clock that we run by as well, and so that will assist with the kidney chi, and yeah, just ensure that you're not stressing out. Like you can't burn the candle at both ends because it's going to really it's going to show up a lot quicker this year.
Yeah, for those people who think that that's just normal and that's how they do it, and like it does, like you said, it's going to show up this year. Like it's actually, in a way, it's sort of like not getting away with that anymore.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
And like if you think about it, I thought about this the other day. I think I wrote about it in a post. When like burns, if you have a wound and it's a burn wound,
Mm.
you treat that wound different to any other wound, right? You have to treat it because it's such a different type of wound. I've had a burn wound before, and it's the most excruciating. Like for a month, I couldn't walk. It was that bad. And when you think about wounds, like a burn wound, it's all the nerve endings as well. So everything's very sensitive. People are going to be very sensitive this year,
Very
super
true. That is a
sensitive,
good point.
and they're going to get offended really easily.
Oh, please stop being fucking offended.
Yes. So there's going to be that. But when you
Okay.
think about that, it means that you may need to actually tend to yourself differently to how you have previously because it's different.
Yes, I love this.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you
don't
for
know how.
saying that. It doesn't matter. It's not
But
about you giving
you
an
need
X,
more.
Y, and Z. No, it's about you really sharing the visceralness of a burn.
Yeah.
It's related to the nerves, it's sensitive. And if you've tended to yourself, like you said, over these years in particular ways, oh, like usually when I get stressed, I go and smash out a boxing class. Maybe that's not the way to do it this year.
Yeah.
It's sort of like everything that you've done is morphing and changing. And I love that sort of you want to morph and change and tend to yourself in a different way,
Yeah.
nurture yourself in a different way. That
Mm.
that is such a great point with when it comes to a burn, hey, because we
Yeah.
all know
Well,
what
when
a burn
yeah,
is like
like you
next level
have to
different.
buffer it. You've got to
Yeah,
buffer it. And a lot of the times you can't have anyone touch it. It-
exactly.
So it's like,
Mm.
can you distance yourself from external, you know,
And
external.
being burnt by people too, I was just thinking,
Yeah,
right? Like how can you just
absolutely.
like
Yeah,
yeah, like you might have to just watch who you're associating with so you don't
absolutely.
get burnt again, like
Yes.
oh that relationship or friendship you thought, "Oh, I'm going to give it another go." But should you? Will you be
Yeah.
burned again? Are you doing the burning? Like also
Mm.
I feel like fire, there's also this honest self-reflection in fire as well, like getting very, very honest with yourself and
Yeah.
taking responsibility for where maybe you do the burning.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's such a great point about the burn. I
Mm.
remember when you said something in one of the water years, and you're like, when water, a droplet of water, it magnifies something. And I was like, and it's just stuck with me forever. And now, you always bring in these nuggets of gold. I mean, the whole conversation's always gold, but like these little nuggets that I always take away from an elemental perspective. It's something that is very fundamental in Chinese astrology, like so
Yeah.
fundamental.
Everything's
Um,
elements.
Exactly. And if
Mm.
you're like if you are watching the video, and I'm here on YouTube showing that last year it was a metal snake. And so I was asking Renee before, I'm like, oh, so is every May a metal snake? And she said, no, it's always a snake, but the element changes. And
Yeah.
so that's, and it's something I find that Western astrologers sort of skim over or don't really talk about very much, but it's one of the first things I look at in people's charts is their elements, because
Yes.
it's life.
It's
It's
life.
literal life. And if you've
It's
got all fire and all water, I know that you're going to be a very emotional person. You're going to be highly sensitive,
mm.
because actually in Western astrology, we talk about fire and air being compatible, which they are. But the real difference here is in Western astrology is earth and air have their own unique set of skills. Like Liam
Mm.
Neeson in Taken, they have their own unique set of skills, right? We've just watched Taken, so that's why I'm referring to that.
Okay.
I have a set of skills. I have a set of skills. Yes. And so earth and air are very grounded, practical, because just think about it. We're on the earth, air is around us all the time, but fire and water are very unpredictable. And it
Yeah.
feels like you really sharing this sort of very big fire year, not just a fire year, but a yang, all the things that Renee has shared. And again, you're going to get so much more when you watch her 2 hours as well, let me tell you. But that the water is the main thing that we want to bring in. And again, what is fire and water? There again, there's this emotions, there's the sensitivity, there's this unpredictability. Like there's a lot of movement. It can be chaotic, it can be restless. But the emotions is what I really plug into when it comes to a fire water dominant chart. I'm like, oh, there's a lot of emotions here. Like very, everyone goes, oh, this particular sign's moody. I'm like, no, a dominant fire water person is moody because their moods fluctuate. Everything fluctuates.
Right.
Fires can be wild or they can be
Yeah.
contained or they can
Yeah.
be a flicker or they can, waters can be in a cup or it can be the ocean or it can be a river. And
Mm.
yes, of course, the earth can quake and we can have gusts of wind. But the thing is that air is normal. We are breathing in air every day and we are standing on earth every day. So you can see the difference with, and I am a predominant earth air chart. Like that's most of, I've got very little, which is funny because Renee was looking at my chart, in my chart, my proper deep Chinese astrology chart. There's a bit of fire there, let me tell you, which, people always feel that about me, but I actually have barely anything in fire signs in my chart. So it's actually
Interesting.
an element I lack astrologically when
Mm.
it comes to my chart, except the Chinese is showing that I don't lack it actually, that I have it in spades. But it's this interesting, yeah, it's very interesting to look at these elements as, as guides, as lights,
Yes.
as things, I think that that's why I love having Renee on too and having you here, Renee, because you're explaining that it's not just a horse, that the yin,
Yeah.
you've got to really understand these elements and where they're sitting on their pillars to really get a full fundamental look at
Yeah.
what we're about to move into. And I
Yeah.
mean, It's
And look,
big.
that the astrological animals were only given for farmers who couldn't read, that they could
Wow.
farm by, so they could understand when to farm. So the character of Wu that you see in my talk, that's not a horse. That character is not horse. It's the character of Wu.
Wow.
But they've just given animals so that they're able. So it's not a link to the animals really. That's what we've sort of just brought in to explain things, but it's not. It's all about the elements. It's got nothing to do really with the horse. It's
Yeah, the
the
elements
fire.
are
Yeah.
literally the elements are literally like the cornerstone of traditional TCM,
Yes.
right? Like that is it. Like
Five
even
Chinese
yeah,
elements.
exactly. No matter yeah, those five elements, which we don't have five in Western, which is always
No.
interesting, right? We don't
Yeah.
have metal, right? And yeah, it's
Metal
just
and wood.
and wood,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
The earth would be, would maybe encompass wood if we're thinking about earth,
Oh,
perhaps. That's what I would think. That's
okay.
an assumption,
Yeah.
obviously. Um,
Because
and
metal
metal
is regarded as
as
like
air.
air. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. So that's yeah, again, that's an assumption, but um,
Mm.
yeah, I mean,
So that,
it's big.
yeah, it is. And so so we've talked about water being really important, but another way that we can actually drain some of the fire, we can use earth. That's okay, but with because it's so intense, we might want to actually drain it more. So we look at the metal element.
Mm,
So metal is all about routine, having a routine and ritual. It's very, yeah, it's very ritualistic, keeping a nice routine, but it's also being very detailed about things because the sun is not detailed. It looks at large, expansive areas, but it has no like the details will be missing. So if you start to ensure that you can go down, like read the fine print,
okay,
literally,
great
right?
tip.
So, but it's mainly routine, but also letting go. It's all the lungs, right? So with our breath, using our breath, um,
Mm,
and that then also triggers your parasympathetic nervous response. So it helps to calm that stress. Yeah. So metal is a really important element to balance the health and your headspace.
that's some good tips, like this reflection here is that those water elements to I don't know soften and reflect and get back to the heart when we're galloping and sprinting for no reason when the chi's there and we're going with it but to where sort of
Yeah.
like talking heads we're on the road to nowhere like right like that's
Yeah.
such a talking heads moment and
Mm.
then using the water element but now knowing about the metal element too which is great which is breath and ritual and routine which feels like I don't know, like I already feel that sort of like seeping in to my
Yeah.
life this year. It's like, okay, like this is where the magic's going to happen is like right there in that ritual and that magic in the mundane and that we chop
Yeah.
wood and carry water, like this is the time where we can do that to really harness this.
Yes. And yes, it can be detailed, but it's very simple. Like if you can
Exactly.
try and keep things simple and routine and regulated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said too earlier, was that the sun is always there. We know it rises and set, like it rises and it sets. So again, there's this familiarity that we have that, at 6 o'clock it'll set and at 5 a.m. it's going to rise at the moment. So it's again, it's this sense of it is stability. It's what's
Yeah.
known. It is a routine. It's a pattern. So maybe getting into some good patterns, rituals as well. But maybe a routine feels restricting for some people. And it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
but what could be a ritual and what could be a great pattern for you? And I love Renee's tip of getting to bed before 11 p.m. Like, let's write down these little notes and remind ourselves of these little tips because it's not about like trying to do a million things. It's actually trying to do less, but actually really focusing on
Yeah.
those few things to,
Yeah.
I don't know, really work with the horse's energy, like
Yes.
constructively.
Yes. Because it is so intense. It is going to throw people off.
I don't think people really know yet, Renee. I think everyone's like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's the horse. And, they're all like, and
yeah.
I'm sort of like watching them
Movement
like,
forward.
yeah.
Like,
And it's,
yes,
yeah,
but
yeah, exactly. Yes, but I
yeah.
know. And that's even what I've felt within myself because, like I said, the Western astrology within this, like Uranus in Gemini is fucking unbelievable. Like we haven't seen it for 84 years. And it's cerebral, it's mental, it's the mind, it's too much, it's insomnia, it's too
Yeah.
much information. It is a lot. And to the fact that then we're in a very extreme fire horse year, the biggest one because it's in that 3 cycle, we're in the year of the 9, like all of these things that Renee is letting us know about, like please let them land for yourself and expect the unexpected. I've sort of gone, I've sort of done all of this. We've both done like a lot of time traveling. We've had to time travel with all of the work that we're presenting. And so we have sort of felt the energy already. Like we've actually, we're both doing the same sort of thing in
Mm.
different areas. And it does feel exciting and exhilarating and mysterious. And there's, like butterflies. But at the same time, I think that it's going to be a lot bigger than just this positive, I'm finally moving forward. Like it's like it actually could be too fast for you to handle or keep up with. So stay anchored and stay grounded. And these little tips and tools from a Chinese perspective are really, I really love them because I love traditional Chinese herbs. Even if you're
Yeah.
working with mushrooms, like go and see Mason's mushrooms. Like Super Feast he's the guy. Like he's who you want to go and work with. Go and get his Jing to help your kidney chi. Like
Yes.
go and
Yeah.
start working with Mason's mushrooms. Like if you're not already working with them and no other brand. I'm sorry. People
Yeah.
come to me, oh, what about this? I'm sorry. I am like cream of the crop sort of person. I'm
Yeah.
going to go to the person who's been doing this a lot longer than the newcomers that go, oh, now this is popular. I know Mason. He goes to China. He sources these mushrooms. He knows
Mm.
how they're grown. He knows how they're foraged. He is the guy.
Yeah.
So Super Feast is where you want to go for all of your mushrooms. And I don't get any things like I don't get any discount, please. That's not what this is about. And I never have. I'm not affiliated at all. But I know how great they are. And with what Renee's saying is she's helping us to go, hey, water, hey, metal, hey, like your kidney, hey, your lungs, breath work. Like these things are going to really anchor us in a year that is going to be swift.
Oh, it's going to be so fast. We already think that our years are fast. It's going to be even faster. Like
I
it's just
know.
going to be. Even my youngest son, he's 14. He's like, "Wow, we're at the end of January. 1 month down already in 2026." Like, yeah,
And so
just
remember
wait.
when we were kids, Renee, there was no way we were going to our parents, God, that year or month or week went
I
quick. We were like, this is the draggiest fucking time in
know.
history. Like, I don't know. We all have different childhoods, but I was just like, I hate you all. When am I 18? Like, when can I get out of here? Like, why is everything so long? And these days, everything is so quick.
Fast.
And this year is like amplified. What
Yeah.
is, I mean, I know you haven't done all the work for it, but what is next year? Are we in a goat? We're in a
Goat.
goat.
Yes.
Do you know
It's
what
Earth.
element? An
Earth
earth goat.
element.
Okay,
Yeah.
that feels
What
different.
would it be? Bing.
Sorry, I put you on the spot here, haven't I? Look, she's counting.
Bing.
She's doing all the things
Should
if you're
be
listening on the
ding. Should be
podcast.
a dingoat.
Ding,
Dingway.
ding way.
Let me
Okay,
double check.
it
Yes, I was
feels,
right.
of
All
course
right.
you were. I love it. Of
So
course you
that's
were.
fire still.
Okay,
It's yin fire.
okay, yin
It's on
fire.
earth. It's a bit
Okay.
more grounded.
Okay. Yeah. And I feel that too in 2027. We're going to be in a 2 year collectively, like
Yeah.
numerologically. The two is a little bit more like just think we're in a 1 year. It's one, it's me, it's independent. I'm starting something new. It's fast, it's quick, I'm pioneering, I'm initiating, I'm doing new
Yeah.
things. We've got Saturn and Saturn and Neptune and Aries, and we've got a lot of that. But then the 2 years, like stability and knowing that it's a goat earth, feels good. Like the fire is yin, but there's this goat earth energy that we get to move into.
Yeah.
I feel that. Like I'm already like tuning into 2027. I'm like, okay, it's going to actually be here before we actually know it. So
Yeah, it will.
we're
It
galloping away
will.
here.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it'll be interesting because after, like, we've got this yearning for that collectiveness this year, and the earth element is the stability of that collective. So that it's earth, right? So it's cohesive. It brings everyone together. So it'll be interesting whether that sort of cements, it's almost cements our collective, our group communities. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, after this very poignant year,
Yeah.
last year and this year, 2025 and 2026, very two big years, They're not years that we're going to just like go, oh, we don't remember that year. Like we remember
Oh,
like
yeah.
these years, we're
Yeah.
remembering them.
Mm.
I also would just want to share about the age old I'm a fire horse in a fire horse year, or I'm a horse in a horse year. And unfortunately, we're going to bust some myths here, but I'm going to let Renee do it so she can be the messenger. But what is it about being a horse in a horse year that you would like to share with us?
Yeah. So, um, yes, you are a horse. And it is the horse year, but it doesn't mean that it's your year. It's not, it doesn't mean it's auspicious or prosperous or the best year that you're going to have. In fact, it could mean the most challenging year. So, what happens is that
Please don't shoot the
we
messenger. She's
consider,
amazing.
sorry?
I said, please don't shoot the messenger. She's amazing. She's just doing her job
Yeah, that's right.
correctly.
I'm just,
Yeah, yeah. I'm just doing my
yeah.
job. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
um, so we consider the animal of the year. So this coming year is the horse. We call that animal the Tai Su or the Grand Duke. Now, the Grand Duke or the Tai Su is regarded as like a general or an emperor. And if you're the same, if you come in and you're the same, you dress the same, you're confronting a general, and that should be honored, that should have their place to be revered. And you're confronting them and saying, look at, I'm the same as you. That's not, that sort of gives you that understanding of that you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be disrespecting the Grand Duke, and there'll be challenges with that. So it's important to understand it depends on whether the fire element for your chart personally is favorable or not. Whether you're a horse coming into a horse year, maybe the fire element is favorable to you. You wouldn't know what that is unless you have someone look at your chart and tell you. But as a general blanket,
Which
it
is
just
all you
says,
can do right now because you can't look at every single person's chart. It's not what you do. It's not how you
yes,
work. Like you're
no,
not
that's
gonna
not what
like
I
do
do.
a million charts. That's not
No,
what Renee's specialty is. She's very good at it, but it's not her thing. But you
yeah.
you have to make some general view like things, and I think that this is a good one.
Generally, yeah. Generally, it means it's challenging. We call it offending the Duke.
Mm.
So it means to take things a little bit easier. It may mean also it can I can't say it, trigger travel.
Trigger travel.
Yeah, trigger travel, moving, new jobs.
Okay.
It's like it breaks you open, and it's not a bad thing
No.
really, because that's where change occurs. It means it may be a very changeable year, and you'll be reassessing yourself a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I wrote from your notes. It's like it's a bit of a readjustment if you're a horse in a horse year.
Readjustment.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
and
And
the
everyone goes
reassessing.
around it every
Yeah,
12 years, right?
exactly.
Yeah. And
And
then
we
you have
spoke
your
about
clash,
the
clash
yes,
animal.
yeah, which
So,
you dive into in your 2 hour thing too. I just want to say
yes,
again,
yes, I do.
please make sure you go and listen to that because she'll
Yeah.
talk
So you
about
have a clash animal as well, which is clash to the horse, which means it's opposing the horse, which is the rat.
yeah,
And look, it doesn't necessarily mean that if you're like just in that rat year, it could be a rat in any of the pillars of your chart. And it depending on where that is in your chart is how it's going to relate to you in general.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but
very layered.
it is, yes,
Mm. Yeah,
absolutely.
it's just like someone going, but I'm a Gemini, so it's sort of the same thing as what everyone's saying with astrology now, that if you're a Leo, you're going to have a great year because Jupiter's moving into Leo, and it's like, but the South Node's there, and the South Node is the dragon's ecliptic karmic tail, which is a clearing and a swishing and paying your karmic dues. So, unfortunately, all Jupiter in Leo is going to do is probably amplify those things. It doesn't mean that you're just lucky. And this is something that, I
Yeah.
was messaging Renee about too, is that every
Yeah.
12 years you have a Jupiter return, which is your Chinese astrology return. And it's the same thing. People are like, it's my Jupiter return this year, Jupiter's luck and abundance, but also the Grand Duke in a way, right? Like in a different way.
Yeah.
It's like Jupiter is grand, it is Zeus. You don't just go up to Zeus going, I'm dressed like Zeus. And Zeus will go, you're not Zeus, I'm Zeus. Like, I'm going to fucking
Yeah.
annihilate you right now.
Yeah.
So the thing is that it's like there is, people tend to think that their Jupiter return is it's lucky and abundant and I'm going to get money and riches and success. Often not really. Your Jupiter,
No.
and the interesting thing is that your Jupiter return aligns to your Chinese year. So
Well,
that's what's
yes,
fascinating.
because it's linked to Jupiter.
Yes.
Yeah. So the 12 years, the Grand Duke is directly linked to Jupiter.
Wow. Yeah,
So the
that's
horse it's like it's opposite. It comes in opposite to to Jupiter. I don't know the constellation,
yeah.
but I do like part of the horse is linked directly to Jupiter. So the Grand Duke is regarded as the shadow of Jupiter.
Wow. That is so
So
fascinating.
because it's all cosmic, but
Exactly.
it's all been linked in with the Chinese five element theory.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like I think that it's like you said, when people go, oh, so that means it's bad for a horse. It's like, no, it's not bad. It just is something maybe not what you're expecting.
Yeah,
So, get ready to reassess or, travel or move or change or have to dig a little bit deeper because I think that's a great analogy and vision is that you can't dress up as the Grand Duke and go and meet the Grand Duke because there is
yeah,
no honor and respect there. So actually, it's sort of a really, whenever you're having your Jupiter return, your Chinese year return by your animal, that's a time of reverence, of really sort of, like you said, reassessing your life and really looking at. I love when you said breaking open. Like,
yeah,
like I think that that's a really nice way to put it is that nothing's just good or bad. Everyone wants to put things into two things. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many more incredible things you could be saying about, well, that must mean it's this or this. It's like, but cracking open is one of the most exhilarating things sometimes and can change your whole life in
yeah.
ways
May
that you
make
didn't even know.
Yeah, it could be really uncomfortable, but
Mm,
what comes out of that? Like, how boring is it? You're just staying the same, doing the same all the time. It's like, where's the challenge in that?
yeah.
What's the life lesson here?
Yeah. And Jupiter's rewards, and as I'm sure the horse's rewards, they will be seen. Like the success does come.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you will, the victory will reign supreme. It's just we've got to do the work and the sludge or whatever that is in between, or and however that looks for anyone, because of course neither myself or Renee, we have to blanket things sometimes. We can't see every single person's chart and every single person's this, and
Yeah.
we can't see that, but this is sort of just a nice general overview of, hey, yes, you're in this year, or it's your Jupiter return, or or you in the year of the horse, and just be mindful of these things,
Yeah,
just be
absolutely.
aware of how to
And
work
they'll
with
see
them.
it in society. You'll see these themes being played out. We're already seeing the themes being played out. And it's interesting to watch, right? It's and to go, so that's the fire coming in with their fast reaction, heated reaction, without any forethought.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking and devastating. I mean, what we're seeing, and unfortunately, even the astrology of the Western astrology, we've got the last time Uranus was in Gemini was, of course, World War II. The last time Neptune was in Aries was the Civil War. We've
Yeah,
got an uprising happening, and that's not just going
uprising.
to go anywhere like tomorrow. We're in a real, and I think that the fire, from listening to all of these things about this sort of very intense yang fire energy with the horse is that things may be exacerbated or amplified, and so it is really important to contain or take care of our mental health, take care of our body, have that ritual, have that routine, let go, do these sort of metal and water things if we're feeling
Yeah,
the fire taking us too far from our hearts. You know, the Mercury
Yeah.
retrogrades will come around and bring us back into our hearts again, bring us back into a reset or a rest, or it's yeah, the way that they both click in together for me every single year when I meet you, I still go, oh my God, this is amazing. And it just still blows my mind. You know, it's just so powerful to work with them both simultaneously as separates, but, you know, as this, again, this cosmic thread that we get to see how it all plays out for us individually.
Yeah.
So it's pretty special.
Mm.
Well, I love talking all things. I pretty much got all of my notes. I said everything I wanted to share on my notes. So, any final themes that you have got, maybe just like there? I mean, you've obviously shared so much, but if there's anything, I mean,
I really think that we're going to have, we're going to find our joy in connection. Like, there's going to be people and extremes and fanatical beliefs. But if you can find the people that you feel like you can belong to, even if there's, you know, there's going to be still sensitivity, there's going to be a little bit of people getting offended, but if you can find some good people around you, I think that's where we will really find joy in in a world that's going to be a little bit extreme. I really think that if we can just, yeah, come together and connect, that's what fire is all about, is connection.
mm,
And that's what people want. They want to feel seen. So it's all about being seen as well, and seeing, and whether we can see hope and see optimism and see the joy in the world. You got to find it and, like, bring it in.
mhm,
You got to bring it in. Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I think that's a great way to wrap up this call, is to have that connection and that joy and to open our eyes and to, yeah, call it in and belong, you know, find the
Yeah.
connections and the belonging that feels good for us in.
And even if you feel like you do get burnt in those groups, just bring the belonging into yourself, like, come
Yeah,
back to yourself. It
yeah,
doesn't necessarily mean you have to find someone, because
yeah.
people get disappointed if they just don't get there. But, you know, just know that you've got it internally, you know, that Shen, that house Shen, you know,
Mm,
always come back to the heart anyway.
mm. Yeah, and a really good book by, I think, Toko, I never say her, I think it's Toko Paterna, is called Belonging. Like, it's an incredible book, and it's more than just like, you know, trying to belong, but belonging to yourself. Like, it's very intricate, and it's a beautiful book that I highly recommend. And um, yeah, when we can belong to ourselves, you know, then we aren't alone. And I think that, like you said, harnessing and nurturing that Shen, that heart spirit, is really important this year as well.
Yeah. Oh,
Mm,
absolutely. Yeah.
mm. So many amazing tips that you've given us, so many. And as I said, and I'm going to leave it in my notes here in the podcast and on my YouTube channel, is a link to your website so people can go over and they can find your calendar that they can order,
Yeah. Get
which
that. It's really good.
please get it. Yes, she's spent so much time creating it, and it is in absolutely, like I said, it's so in depth, and it gives you the days. Like I said, this is
Yeah,
the
it's an
visual of the
auspicious
one.
date calendar.
Yes, auspicious
Essentially,
dates.
yeah, essentially for people to use dates to propel their success.
Yes, I love this. And of course, like if you really want to go deeper, you go and see Renee, because she does
Right.
all the things with your house. She does all the feng shui, and she does all the flying stars. Like, this is a whole other section of her work, which is what her work is. And she's
Yeah.
amazing at it. And trust me, like, she's been a guiding light and saves me sometimes when we're just having a little conversation and she's like, oh, the this, that, or the, you know, it's quite amazing. But yes, please support her calendar. And of course, jump on a free 2 hour call and listen and just
Yeah.
times everything that we've just done on steroids because it's just her. She's talking about all the flying stars and the peach blossoms and how to work with the elements, business stuff. You also talk about, you also talk about like the different animals that it's good for, and
Yeah.
the luck, and all the different stars, and that's really cool. As well as she goes into depth with night, back when we did have the last fire horse, she
Yeah.
unpacks those things. It's honestly such a great 2 hour call. And I've been listening to them every year for as long as you've been doing them, I think, and very, very helpful. So thank you again for all of your time, your information, your wisdom, your tips, your tools, your honesty in sharing about what the fire horse really is, as opposed to what even myself, shares in my kit. Very different energy, and I acknowledge that, because this is the real deal here. And I always, I actually was reading my horse thing before I jumped on with you, and I was like, oh, I talk about Renee in it. I'm like, I will be interviewing Renee. Please go and watch, because it's important that I share, I don't know, like the fundamentals of this, not just like, oh, I'm talking about Pegasus and the horse and horse medicine and horse wisdom. All of that to me is still magical, and we can still
It's
work with
still,
it. Like, it's
yeah.
still important. All of it is, but then it's so nice to have this different layer that we can go, okay, so here's, what the elements mean. Here's what this fire horse yang really represents for us, and what we can do with the missing elements and things, which is obviously something that I know nothing about until I listen to Renee. So thank you for being our guiding light, Renee. And it's just always such a pleasure to talk to you and have you on my,
Oh,
my, my podcast and things.
yeah. Thank you so much for having me again this year. I really love chatting.
Mm.
So, yeah. Happy 2026.
Happy 2026. And remember, it kicks off on Feb 4 when the chi changes and the horse year begins.
We're in it. Yes.
In it. Thank you so much, Renee.
Thank
Thanks everyone
you.
for listening. Bye.